homeschoolers, it's me Jazz again from Hidden Library Homeschool, and I'm back with another homeschool book haul. I want to show you all these books that I got here. I also have a couple of toys I want to show you, but yes, I am bundled up. I'm in the homeschool room and I'm usually like in a hoodie or something, a shawl or something, but it's always so cold in this room, and we've got about 5 or 6 blankets in here, and no matter who's in here, they always have a blanket on them. But on top of that, my husband decided, hey, everybody else is cold, but I'm hot, so let me turn the air on. Therefore, I am even more bundled up today. Anyway, to get into the books that I want to show you, the first one I want to show you is this book here, The Kidnapped Prince. And this book is a book about a boy from 1755 who is from Africa and is kidnapped and becomes a slave. So, of course, from the subject matter, I wasn't expecting, an upbeat book or anything like that. But what I really wasn't expecting was for this book to be a page-turner. There's so much going on in this book, and I hate to use the word exciting, but I can't right now think of another word. But you want to know what's happening next. There's so much going on that you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Where's he going to go with this? So I was really glad and pleasantly surprised with this book. It was originally an autobiography, but this one is an adaptation. And that's another thing. It doesn't read like an adaptation. So many adaptations that I've read at this for this age group, it seems to really dumb down what's going on. But they still use rich language, still use, real words. They don't use baby words or anything like that. So I was glad to read that too. But the boy, he is a slave all over the world, basically, within Africa. He talks about the differences between Africa and America being a slave in Europe. He goes to different islands. He's in a war. He's on a boat. He learns navigation. He's trying to earn his freedom. There's so much going on that you could probably stop at probably every paragraph or so and have a lively discussion with your child. I don't even think that I would need any sort of prompt with questions or anything like that. You could just stop, or you have your child, just let them interrupt you and have so many discussions with this. I'm not sure if we're going to use this at the end of this year or save it for the beginning of next year. It kind of is at that time period that it would fit in either year. But I think that waiting those couple of months and doing it at the beginning of 4th grade will probably just let us have even more discussions and get deeper into what is going on. So we may save it, but I haven't really decided yet what to do with this. When to do it, I meant to say. When to do this book. I have more books from the Who Was series. I'm trying to build my collection of those because we really do enjoy these books. I have Who Was Ben Franklin, Marie Antoinette, Alexander Hamilton, and also Paul Revere. And I can tell that my son is getting a lot from these books. My older son, Tony, who is in 3rd grade this year, he likes these books. He likes, we're going to read about this person or that person. The illustrations in here, they're black and white. There's some maps and stuff like that. But what I like about these, it seems to be at just the right level of information for him that he's taking in so much from them. He'll stop and see a date and say, oh, that's, 2 years before this or 6 years before that. Oh, or that's in the same place as this. And I can tell that he's getting the information because he stops himself and starts a conversation with me about what is going on in that time period or within that person's life. And he'll make connections too of, something that's going on in Asia and something that's going on in Europe or so, just because we've read books of different books about people from this series. So I'm really enjoying this book, this series here. I also have 2 books on Pocahontas. The first one that I got was from Sterling Biographies, and this is Pocahontas, A Life in 2 Worlds, and I wasn't able to look into it too much when I got this book online, but as you can tell from the size of the words and how much information is in here, it's probably not something that I would give to a 3rd grader. So once I got it, I decided we would shelve this and probably save it for middle school or something like that and just use it at a different time period. Instead, earlier this week, I did have him read Pocahontas, and this is from my own biography. We do have a few other books in this series that we've read before, and I like that in this series, it seems to be the perfect amount of information that he can really retain everything that he's reading. But one thing that I really liked about this book is at the end of this one, it reminds the student to take into consideration bias and perspective and who is writing the history. They talk about, especially with someone like Pocahontas, where some of the stories are just made up. A lot of what we know about her is from Europeans. So if you're getting an account of what happened from another person, their perspective is going to add to whatever they're putting it down as history. And some of the things that the Europeans may have written about her and other Native Americans, they may have gotten the wrong idea simply because they may not have understood what the tradition or ritual or whatever it is that the Native Americans were doing. They may not have understood what was going on. So to keep all of that in mind when you're reading about people, especially someone like Pocahontas. I also have a visual dictionary of Colonial Community, Colonial Community. We already did the Native American community one, and we'll probably be doing the Old West, Pioneer Community, and Victorian life next year. But what I like about these books is it has lots of pictures about different things at that time period, and different tools, different dress, the houses, all different stuff like that. So my son may ask me a question about what he may ask about what a certain tool was or what the house looked like or something like that. And I like to have this book on hand and can just turn to a page and we can really look at those pictures and talk about them, and it also has a little bit about that. I have You Should Meet Katherine Johnson, and this book I am going to be doing over the summer. I have a couple of books that I'm saving for the summer. I'm, trying to get a collection of things I want him to read on his own and also things I want him to read out loud to me. So this is one of the books that we will be doing this summer. From Zoey and Sassafras, I have Caterflies and Ice, and this is actually the fourth book in the series. We already did the other three, or my son did the older three. Tony read them to Clark, my middle son. And what I like about these is it seems to be at the perfect level for both of them. My older son, who's in third grade, he can read this aloud to my kindergartner, and my third grader can get his read aloud practice, and of course my kindergartner likes to be read too. So it has pictures in here, and it has, little magical creatures with a little bit of science sprinkled in, so we can count that as, a little bit of science time too, along with reading. I have Seesaw Girl, and this book, I don't know. I wasn't able to find a whole lot on this topic and time period and location. This is about a girl in 17th century Korea who's from a well-to-do family and her life. It's not the most exciting book. There's not a whole lot going on. You do get an idea of what her life is like at this time period, but there's not a whole lot going on. I'm hoping to be able to find more books on Asia in general, and of course, China, I can find a lot of stuff, but for the other countries, I'm not finding as many books for, this is just a chapter book. I'm not finding a lot of books for more than a picture book, but less than a novel. So if you have any suggestions on books within Asia around the 16th, 17th, 18th century, please put them in the comments below, because I'm on the lookout to add to our unit that we'll be doing later on in the school year. I have The Tale of the Mandarin Ducks, and this is a book, a story from Japan about a man who wants to own this duck that he thinks looks really magnificent, and someone who comes to the aid of the duck, and the duck ends up rewarding them because the people save him. So I'll probably have my son read this aloud to me. From Junior Graphic African American History, I have Crispus Attucks and the Boston Massacre. And there are other books in the series, but I don't know that we will be doing these books. Not that there's anything wrong with them or anything like that. It's just that there's about 21 pages or so. And this was $10. I couldn't find it cheaper anywhere else. I could only find it for about that price. So I don't know that I want to spend that much for just a couple of pages. There is, good history and stuff in here, and my son does like the graphic format, the comic book format. I couldn't think of it, whatever, however it's called. He does like the comic book format for the graphic novel. So I think he'll enjoy it, but we'll probably have to find something else that kind of fits more budget-wise, instead of spending so much for just a few pages. I also have Cornerstones of Freedom, African Americans in the 13 Colonies, and this book I think we'll be using, I'll probably have my son read this to me, and then from there find something that he's interested in or wants to learn more about, and have him use this as to start a research project. So I think this is probably good for the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade level. There's a lot of information in here, but it's not too packed like some of the other books. like the Pocahontas, the first book, Pocahontas book I showed you. It's not too packed, but there is a lot of information, and there's maps and illustrations and stuff like that in here too. I also have Squantos Journey, and we did go over this time period about 2 weeks ago, but I forgot I had this book, but I'm going to still have him read this. It is a picture book, but I like books like this where there's pictures that my younger son can enjoy it, but also lots of words that it has enough information for my older son. So I'll still have him read that book. I have National Geographic 1621, A New Look at Thanksgiving. And what I liked about this book is it reminded me of field trips that I took in like elementary school, middle school, back to the kind of colonial, I forgot what the name of it was, but there was like colonial towns where people dress up and everything like that. Kind of like the Renaissance Fair type of thing, but for colonial time periods. So it just reminded me of those class trips and going to those. There is a recipe in the middle of this too, so we're going to read through this book together. Probably actually later on today, because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And go through this book. Another book that I have is A Child's Introduction to African American History, and I was so excited about this book. But it wasn't everything that I was hoping it would be. I knew from the cover that the pictures weren't, I mean, it's certainly no Kadir Nelson picture-wise. But, I mean, that's okay. It's just a different style. But what I didn't like, I'm just going to have to try to get in frame here to show you this. But it starts out on page 10, talking about the beginnings of slavery. And not too far later on page 22, you're already at the turn of the 20th century. So there's not a whole lot of meat here for before the 20th century. All the rest of this stuff back here is for the 20th and 21st century. So it's something that we'll probably be able to use a lot more next year, just because there's not a whole lot for the time period we're doing this year. So we'll probably not use it too much this year and see what's in there that we can use later on. The last book I have, like I said, my son does like comic books. So I got him this book from Nomad Press, comic books. And he's doing this just on his own. I'm not having him do this or anything. I just thought that he would like this. So now he's making his own comic series. He's got like 2 of them done already. Keeps showing me every page. Look what this is going on here. So this one is in color. Some of the Nomad Press books are black and white, but I like that this one is in color because he's able to, he gets more into it then. So there's some stuff on how to draw things, the history of comics and stuff like that. So I got all those books for my older son and my middle son, but while we're reading all of those, I need something to keep my youngest busy since he'll just destroy things if I don't give him anything. So I did get him Gears from Learning Resources, and this is the deluxe set. So there's just little pieces you can put together and it turns to different things. And we also have the Rover and the Cycle. We'll probably be getting more of these Gears things for them because they do enjoy playing with them. They have a solar system, rainforest, castle, stuff like that. I'm not sure how many we'll get, but we'll probably get more because they do enjoy them. But I think that's all I want to show you for now. I have more books coming in later today in the mail, so that should be fun to have more videos up and get into new books for this year and for next year. But for now, thanks for checking this video out from Hidden Library Homeschool. Please like, comment, subscribe below. Bye.